Hey guys, how's it going? This here's Tracilyn. I'm also known as V-Cat. And I'm here in front of a pizza shop. Let me see. Is it Jocelyn's Pizza and Restaurant? You see the sign up there? Okay. I moved on from Jonestown, where I was sharing with you part of my life story. Here's another sign. Up there. Can you see up there? Did I do it right? Where I was sharing with you my years 3 through 6. I don't remember much about spending time with my grandparents on my mother's side until that house. I'm not saying that we did or didn't. I'm sure they used to come over to our home, the trailer for Home 1, where I was shared my birth years through being 3 years old. But I do remember after we lived in this house too that we used to come over here primarily on the weekends. My mom would work during the week. Remember I told you she finally got a job, we had a live-in nanny. But I think sometimes my nanny would probably work on the weekends or what have you. They kind of worked to help support each other. And one of the things is we would come over here every weekend. Whether it be Friday or Saturday, my grandmother would pick us up in the station wagon. And whoops, here comes a car, I gotta be careful. She would pick us up in a station wagon. And here's the thing, we would come over here to a city or township, I'm not sure what they call it, New Bunker Hill. You can look it up, it's right off, I'm right on Route 72 right now, in New Bunker Hill. Up here, I can't see it right now, there's a church up the road and I'll probably show you really quickly. There's some crucial things that occurred here. I'm gonna tell you straight up right now. I don't wanna hurt anybody. I'm sharing my life story. I have total forgiveness of everything. I'll do my best to share the story without trying to hurt anybody. But I'm going to tell you straight up. This is my first, what I call the house of judgment. This is where I felt whether I was being or not. That's two different things. Two different things. I call it the house of judgment because I felt like I was being judged. I felt that my mother was being judged because she divorced my dad, not to mention she had a husband prior to that. I felt that I felt that in this house, because me and my sister had a different dad than the other two, this is what I felt. Okay, I'm being honest with you. Let's just cut all the unnecessary fatty stuff away and let's just get right down to the bone of it all and the meat. Let's get down to the meat. And I'm going to tell you straight from the heart. I feel this is the first place of judgment for me. I'm not saying it was. I'm saying I felt that way, okay? So 72 was a very dangerous road. A lot of amazing things happened on this road. We walked this road many times when we had snowstorms. Snowstorms. Did you ever walk in the snow? Let me tell you, back in the 70s, we got a lot of snow. Total shutdown of absolutely everything. And sometimes a highway. And I lived here on this road even into my 20s. Eventually, I moved down here in the 20s, and I'll share without, I don't want to come back more than once. I'm going to kind of show you some quick basics, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to the pizza place I was standing in front of, and I'm going to have myself a slice of pizza, because I love pizza. I have a slice of pizza, and then I'm going to take you with me into a very special location where I'm going to share the rest of the story of this neighborhood. And let me just say, I learned in life how snoopy people could be, how snooty people could be, how judgmental people could be. Not necessarily in one house, but in this neighborhood, okay? This neighborhood most certainly made me feel like a total outcast, and I'm sure I'm not alone with that one. But all forgiveness, mercy, grace, and I love everybody that lived here, okay? Can we leave it at that? Can I be honest with you without feeling that anybody's being insulted directly? And just tell you I can't help how I felt at the time. I was a child. I was 6 years old, but this is my first place I realized judgment. And we're gonna run across the street. Okay. So you come down, it ends up being a dead-end road with a tree line. Lots of trees in this area, if you notice. Pennsylvania covered and a lot of trees. I don't remember too much about the house over here too much. I do know that there was connection. Everybody was family and friends here for the most part. I remember a gentleman that used to live in this house. He would mow his grass on a white and orange tractor all the time. Every weekend, that was a big event. Everybody mowed their grass in this neighborhood. What about your neighborhood? Did people get together and do that over there too? Try to keep everything in synchronized, if you will? We all cut our grass on a Saturday. I used to love cutting grass. I don't anymore. However, I do enjoy riding farm tractors. And of course, when we were kids, we would all pile in a wagon that was connected to the farm or to the lawnmowers. It's a very quiet neighborhood. So, you know, I have a harsh voice right now today. I woke up with morning voice, and it stayed that way. I got my humidifier going. We're going to try to take care of that, smooth it out for you a little bit. So over here, we got a driveway, and we got the house. Look how it's block. It's made out of block. Okay, I'm going to just show you the lawn really quick. Look how beautiful this lawn is. Okay, right where that telephone pole is, there used to be a tall tree. Try to remember that. And they'd park cars along here sometimes. There was a tall tree there. Look out back. See the backyard? Okay, it was much different. There used to be a swing set right about in there. Right about in there beside that red shed. Right along that driveway. There was a swing set. And this is where we used to play Nerf football. So remember that. I used to play Nerf football, hide and seek, freeze tag, all those things. Over here, this trailer. This is where my great-grandma lived. I used to help cut this grass, by the way. I used to help cut this grass. Okay? And I used to help cut this grass over here because it was my great-grandma. She's no longer with us. Okay? And we used to do a lot of work. I used to play guitar over there where that door is. On the side, on the bottom. I used to practice guitar in there when I lived over here in that trailer with my mom through my 20s, okay? Now my voice is sounding crazy, doesn't it? I have its highs and I have its lows. I have its highs and I have its lows. So, now over here we had some friends that lived here and a guy who drove truck. And remember, I was fond of guys. He actually had a dump truck and I was always fond of guys with big trucks. Four-wheel drive trucks and Mack trucks, semi-trucks. So here we go. Beautiful house, okay? And down there was a road. I'm going to show you. Look, here's a blue ball. Look. Boop. Isn't that cute? Where my mother lived and I lived in my 20s. Hi, how are you? It's good to see you. You having fun? Huh? I'm sharing my life story, and how old are you right now?
7.
You're 7 and you're 9? Well, right now I'm sharing my story. When I was between the ages of 3 and 6, my grandma used to live up 2 houses up from you, 3 houses up from you, and in that yellow trailer, my great-grandma used to live. So I'm sharing my life story on YouTube. Do you know what YouTube is?
Yeah.
I'm sharing my life story in videos. I'll be right back with you guys, okay? I want to talk to these children. They're adorable. So, okay, be right back with you. Peace, love. Okay, guys, so I'm back. That was a wonderful experience. I got to share with the children some of my youth, what I did when I was a kid growing up. And this hill here, believe it or not, is tremendous. And they still have big wheels and bicycles to this day. Notice I'm saying, it's the same occurrence. It's just a different generation. It's a different group of people. Bye. Bye. You know, they still have passion. There's life here yet. People are outside, but I guarantee you it's a tight community where people are looking out their windows. They're curious. At first when they approached me, they were a little nervous. They're hiding behind trees. They're wondering, who is this crazy person with a camera walking through our neighborhood, talking to it? So here we go as we go through the neighborhood. Just know this. My grandparents, they lived over here, and it was amazing because in the Christmas time, the house that is over here to my right, they would have Christmas decorations that were just so beautiful, you know? And as a child growing up, Christmas is one of the most precious times of years where we would actually get to go through the neighborhoods and look at the displays of Christmas lights on the rooftops of people's and in their yards, okay? In their yards. Over here, this long yard right here, I used to cut that as a kid growing up. There was... Okay. So now I'm going to take you to this very special place really quick, and then I'm going to take a slice of pizza. I'm going to try to explain myself out of this situation because I know that eventually family members will get to hear this and they will be hurt, maybe offended. I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt anybody, but I also learned in life the hard way. I'm not responsible for how people feel. You're not responsible for how people feel. They're responsible for it. Let them take responsibility for how they feel. Your feelings come from your thoughts, okay? And we'll get deep into that stuff, but just know this. Yeah, you don't have to believe me if you don't want to. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on you, but I just know if somebody's hurt, I am sorry. I don't want to hurt anybody. I made that very clear. But there are going to be some things said. This is my first time sharing my whole life story very publicly. I don't want to hurt anybody, but if I do, I already have forgiveness for myself because I'm human. I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want to hurt any of my family members because I'm going to share with you the good times and the times that I felt like I was an outcast. That started there. Whether it was by accident, if it was intentional, can I just say to you, I'm going to believe that it wasn't intentional. Okay? I believe these people loved me. I believe everybody loved me. Just like I love you. Okay, so we're going to go down here. This is Broad Street in New Bunker Hill. It's a street over from our backyard. I had a lot of good times in our backyard. Okay? Broad Street. I'm going to tell you really quick. There's a race car driver down here. Remember, I told you when it's popular names that were already out publicly, I'm going to share it with you. One of the reasons why I love race cars is because in our backyard at our grandparents, there was a gentleman, Jimmy Bernheisel, and he had a race car back here, circle track. It's one of the reasons why I love circle dirt track. I really love that a lot. The micro sprint cars, but he didn't. He had I think it was a stock car. If you know, leave a comment. Maybe you know Jimmy Bernheisel. Or is he still around? Does he still race? Is his children race? I'm gonna go down. We're gonna end up on a dirt down road, on an end or a dead end road. I knew a couple people here, not a whole lot. We used to get in trouble running through these yards, chasing each other. But there was a garage here with race car in it. Okay, and I don't want to. But I want to share with you why I love race cars. Right, here's the reason. Jimmy Bernheisel, thank you. Thank you, because I am very passionate about race cars and I really admire mechanics. I'd be lost without all the mechanics. And you will find out as I share my life story that I am very drawn to guys with trucks and people with fast cars. I used to love driving fast cars too. I was raised around them. That was the beginning of it. Jimmy Bernheisel, race car. Now, as I'm walking over here, I'm going to share something with you really quick because I realize I left some things slip up. I'm not perfect, you know. I mess up a lot. And I used to not forgive myself for that. This is a new life for me. I forgive myself of everything. Stop. Stop beating yourself up because you're not perfect. We're human. We make mistakes. Sometimes we wish we wouldn't have done it. Sometimes we do. Anything that I said here, if I upset you, you gotta know. I'm saying it with a smile. I'm sorry. Okay? I don't mean anyone specific, but there were some tough situations that happened there with me that I had to overcome. And I'm not gonna hold any pictures up or any names and tell you who it was. Can I tell you something else too? You gotta be careful what you listen to on the radio. You gotta be careful what you listen to on TV and on YouTube, including me. When I go Tracilyn, also known as VCAT, be careful when you imitate me, and know this. You don't want to be Tracilyn, also known as VCAT. Nobody wants to be her. Sometimes in life, she didn't want to be her. Yes, it's just true. I didn't want to be myself, but I'm telling you right now, I do. And it took me a long time to find out who I was. Most people who know me know that I don't like to be stuck and glued to my computer or in a bedroom. I'm a traveler. I love to travel. I love new things. I'm here in Pennsylvania not to ignite the old things and not to stir up any trouble. I'm here to share my life story, to get over this and seal it up. I went over it and replayed it many times. People kept telling me, Tracilyn, why don't you let go of your past and just move on with your future? I believe I am moving on with my future right now as we speak, because I am sealing the deal. I am saying, look, this is who I am. This is what I've been through. Forget about who I am. What I've been through. This is who I am, right here. Here I am. I'm Tracilyn, also known as VCAT. But I'm also many ingredients of everything that I've been through. And I can't help how I felt. Give me a chance to explain myself. And you will see in the end that I'm all about love, peace, and happiness. All right? But I'm going to be very honest with situations that I've been through. Because I know there's people out there, maybe you, yes you, right there, you, that you have been through things, and you're beating yourself up over the head. Nobody else is anymore, but you are. I used to do that to myself. I was my worst enemy sometimes. Sometimes, not all the times. All the times, not sometimes, okay? So a lot happened in this neighborhood. And I am going to share with you some pretty amazing things. I'm going to try to summarize it because this is a place that I perceived as a negative place. There was joy, and I'm going to share with you the good and the bad and the ugly. Okay? And then we're going to move on to where tomorrow we're going to take time, weather permitting, to walk around a neighborhood that we moved to, which would be House 3. House 3 is the first time that Tracilyn began to receive physical abuse by other children in the neighborhood. Remember, I got my first fight over there, but that wasn't abuse. We had a disagreement. It could have been because I was moving, and feelings get hurt when you're children, and you're leaving me, I'm leaving you, you know, kind of thing. And sometimes children do what they later regret. And let me just say that if he remembers who he was, I love you. And I'm glad that we got to share that experience together. You were my first fight. And I don't know who won. Probably I lost. I'm not a fighter. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Listen, I don't want to fight. I don't want to stir things up. I don't want to say ugly things about anybody. I hope so far I'm doing a good job with this. Everybody will tell you I'm doing too much. I'm sharing too much, but I don't feel that way. It's what I want to do. And what I want to do is what matters to me. If it doesn't matter to you, you can always click the forward or backward button. You can always go to somebody else's YouTube page. You can always create your YouTube page. Maybe you want to create a YouTube page insulting me. Do you want to insult me? Humiliate me? Good. It'll draw the right people to me eventually. Isn't that a great attitude to have? So, also, you can visit my website at tracilyn.com. That's TRACILYN.com. And I got a Facebook page, Tracilyn21. Facebook.com/Tracilyn21. And also, you are now on the VCAT Vlog. Can you do that with me? VCAT Vlog. Subscribe to my channel. My website address will be down here. Okay, somewhere. And up here somewhere will be my subscription channel. Or button. Button, did I say channel? Not my channel, but my button. Push it. Push it and subscribe to my page. You don't want to miss out on some of the most bizarre happenings, occurrences, things that I've been through. Weird things that I've been through. I want to share with you. Yes, you. And your whole family. And your friends. And the whole world. Right now we are in what I perceived as a child between the ages of 3 and 6. I can't help how I felt. At that time, I didn't know I was in control of my thoughts. I didn't realize that it was judgment. But looking back on it, I would have to say, it's when I first felt that I was less than. Okay? Deal with it. Deal with it. Deal with it. I'm being honest. I don't want to hurt anybody, alright? Love you. Love you. And I love you. And I love myself. Forgiveness for everyone and everything. I want to take you, if it doesn't rain, looks like it might rain, to a very special place where I spent a lot of time walking around, thinking about and evaluating my life, praying to a God that I was taught was real, confused as to whether or not that God is because of the things I'm going to share with you, believing in my heart that it was all lies that were taught. Just about. Not everything. Just most of it. You are God. You are God and I am God. We are all one, only we've been taught that we have been separated. Okay? We've been taught what is good and what is evil. We have been taught what is right, wrong, and indifferent. But in our hearts we know that's not true. None of us are less than anybody else. I love you. I'm gonna get my slice of pizza. I've already said probably too much. Nah, not too much. Not too much. Hey guys, so how's it going? My name is Tracilyn. I'm also known as VCAT. I just had a slice of pizza in New Bunker Hill, Pennsylvania, and now I am back into the city of Jonestown, Pennsylvania, where my home number 2 was. And I'm right across the street from a place called Creators Music. Let me tell you something. That is an amazing story on itself. One of the finest guitar players and technicians in all the entire universe owns that shop. Yes, he does. I won't tell you his name. You can Google it, I'm sure, and figure it out yourself. I'm sure they have a website. Check it out. He is an amazing, very talented individual. And he will build you up. And he will fix you up. One of the finest guitars that you've ever had the opportunity to touch. No matter what the condition is. He really can do miracles. Over here, of course, is a corner store. We used to call Crawls. We used to call it Crawley's. We're going up to Crawley's, Mom, to get our candy. It was awesome to walk through that store. It's very amazing. You don't see that too many places, where there's a small corner store that looks like a house. It was made out of a house. Years ago, as a child growing up, we used to go to a lot of houses to buy our candy because they would have little stores inside of them. Isn't that cool? Did you ever go to somebody's house who had a store in their living room? Their front porch? Was a place of candy? Penny candy? You remember penny candy? Do they still sell penny candy? Tell me about it. Share with me. Share with me. So I was gonna go up to the mountains, but instead of going up to the mountains today, I'm gonna take you up there another day. That was a very spiritual place for me. But right now we're in the city of, I don't know what it is, the city of something, Jonestown, Pennsylvania. We are now right by the Swati, home number 2. Now usually a conscious mental condition of society, whether it's a city, whether it's a state, a location, a culture, place, when people are raised, they have certain belief systems, they do change. They change sometimes at a snail rate and sometimes amazing things happen. Hey, come here. Oh, my good friend Johnny. Oh my goodness. I would love to put him on camera, but I don't know if he will. Let me tell you something. He's, for all you ladies out there, I don't know if he's single or not. He might be married. We're gonna find out. He's a really handsome man. We have a history, not of togetherness, by the way. Friends, that's it, friends. Hey, you. So here we go. Hey John, what's going on? Can you be on camera or you don't want to be on camera? Can you? I want to introduce to the whole world who my friend is, Johnny. I was just talking about him and telling him how handsome you were and that we don't have a personal history together, but we have friendship together, right? Kind of like family. And I want to share a little bit of that with you later on. So say hi, John.
Hi.
Hi, he said hi. I want to talk to him a little bit. We're going to close the camera a little, okay? I'll be back, I promise. I'm not going anywhere. Gonna talk to my friend Johnny. What's going on? Hi guys, I am back. And that was my friend Johnny. We have a history together, but not of intimacy, friendship, true friendship. His family played a big role in my life, and I was so glad to see him, and I'm surprised he noticed me from across the intersection here. I am in front of a fire station here in Jonestown. We often used to drive by there and the firemen would always be sitting out front. We would get sodas there as well. I want to just continue to walk around the neighborhood. Hopefully I don't upset anybody for any reason. Johnny was telling me that his wife has all kinds of friends, and you're going to get to learn a little bit about me. It's quite a relief because I said I'd like to stop by, maybe say hello to him and meet his wife. Evidently, we probably talk to each other online, and she has friends of all walks of life, which is a relief to me. I'm finding out more and more that Lebanon, Pennsylvania is beginning to accept people of all walks of life without judgment. Note that. Will you note that? Because now we're going to get back to what I was sharing with you. It's about how I felt about being judged as a kid. Now notice I said feeling. I felt like. Was my feelings wrong, do you think? Do you think my feelings were wrong? Well, you don't even know. I had to share the story a little bit, don't you? You can tell me. Leave a comment. Was I wrong for feeling this? Did you ever feel like you were judged by someone in your family pretty harshly, that it made you feel less than everyone else? Because that's what this story is going to be about. I'm going to try to summarize it and keep it as quick and simple as absolutely possible. Back at the house, when I first went there, let me just say, every Friday through Sunday, sometimes it was only Saturday morning to Sunday, we would spend the nights there so my mother could go out. You know, she was a hard worker. She raised 4 kids. She needed time, and the time was on the weekends to go out and have a good time. She was a disco dancer. She was a dancer. And I don't mean a professional dancer. She did this for fun. At the local clubs, at the local bars, with all of her friends. That's where she got to meet all the guys and shake her booty to the Bee Gees and all kinds of people from the 70s. Disco was the thing. Whenever she would drop us off, I would always make it hard on her. At that age, now understand, we're going 3 to 6. From what I remember, I would always cry. I'd cry like a baby. I don't want to leave my mother. And at that time, she was dating the one, specifically, that we all elected as a family. This is the one that we want to be kind of like our new daddy, you know? And I tried not to make it hard, but I couldn't help it. I was being honest. I really did not like going to my grandparents. I don't think I liked going anywhere, though, so I hope nobody takes this personally. I don't think I liked going anywhere without my mother. Whenever I was separated from her, maybe it was, do you think it was the fear from being separated from my dad, my parents being separated, and then being separated at school? And it's like, as we go through life, why am I being separated from the people I love? My family was still going there, so, but I don't want to lose my mother. I don't want to lose my mother. I felt like I kind of lost my dad by that time, but I didn't want to lose my mother. I didn't want to be waiting on a front porch somewhere. Was my mom ever going to show up? And that's what I used to do at my grandparents' house. When is mommy going to come? When is mommy going to come over to pick me up? Because of the situation at hand, do you know what she used to do? There would be times that she would go out, she would explain to me, she would get down on her knees, and she had a jean jacket. Jean jackets were really big at that time. She always had herself covered in perfume, and I remember what she smelled like, and she would always get on her knees, and she would promise me, she's going to return, she's going to pick me up. And she would make it a special exception that usually after they went out clubbing, she would come pick me up. I would be sleeping on the sofa, maybe on a Saturday night. She would come a day early, okay? However it was, I don't remember exactly, but sometimes she would pick me up on a Friday night or a Saturday night, what have you. Usually Saturday night. And I would go home with them. I would be the only one she would make an exception for with that. The other kids, they wanted to stay there. They wanted to play with all the other kids in the neighborhood and football, tag, all the other things, you know. And Grandma treated us good, you know. She would take us out for ice cream. Usually on a Saturday afternoon, we would all go for ice cream, or we'd go to a pizza place where you would actually push a button and speak, and they would actually bring the pizza out to you. That was pretty cool. There used to be a lot of muscle cars back in the day that used to hang out during my mother's time. She used to tell me stories about how they would jump cars to cars, you know, the girls and the guys, and they would cruise around town. And you're going to get to know that. London used to be a very hot spot for hot rods, muscle cars, drag racing on the city streets. Yes, on the city streets, which I don't recommend to anyone. With that being said, I think I'm going to have to go back to my car and get another battery. So let's walk backwards again. Okay? We're just going to walk around. I'm going to share with you, walking kind of the city alleyways of when I was a little kid, where I grew up in this town called Jonestown, Pennsylvania. So with that being said, my mom would make exceptions, and usually I couldn't sleep that much. My grandma would have me sleep on the couch. The kids would go upstairs into the beds and stuff like that. And what would end up happening is my mother would come for me. And I could smell her. I could smell her perfume as she entered the door. I knew it instantly, and I would go running right away. Didn't have to worry about waking me up. I would go. Running to the front door. Actually, it was the back door. That's what we always used to go to my grandma's. I would go running to her, all excited. I wanted to get home with her. The reason that I feel like I was being judged, I'm not saying anybody was. Remember, I told you, my mom had already gone through separation of 2 husbands by that time. One my dad, one my sister and brother's dad. Because of the religious belief system that people were under, a lot of people criticized and made life hard for people like my mother, who did the right thing, by the way. Looking back, I feel, in my perspective, she did the right thing. She did what was right for her in the moment. I'm proud of her. It took a lot of strength. She went through a lot of abuse throughout her life because of that, for a very long time. And so did her children. And so did we have kind of wars between all 4 of us, you know, mild ones, nothing really big. You know, we have a love, but some of it's kind of silent in a way. So anyway, check this out. One of the funny things that I remember happening there is I pretended, because I was an entertainer my whole life, I pretended that I had to go to the bathroom and I was sleepwalking, because I used to sleepwalk. Did you ever sleepwalk? I used to sleepwalk when I was a kid. And one time I become aware of it, that I was standing up, and I kind of started chuckling, but I kind of hid it. And then I walked from that sofa in the living room at the time. I walked in the sofa and I walked out to the kitchen and I opened up the cupboard and I acted like I was going to go to the bathroom, but I was awake. I don't know if they know, but they're going to know now. And I pretended like I was going to go to the bathroom in the cupboard. They, of course, stopped me and quick, don't wake her up. They were afraid of waking me up because I guess I don't know what that could do to you or what people believe what could happen, but they were afraid to wake me up while I was sleepwalking. So they kind of rushed me over to the bathroom and held me over the potty back there, and that's where I went. At this house, we would meet with our cousins and us. We would all hang out in the neighborhood. We had friends amongst the neighborhood. We had, you know, I was telling you about the race car driver in the back. And we would ride our bikes, or we would play a lot of games. Nerf football was a big thing for us, you know? And everybody loved to get the ball except for me, because when I did end up getting the ball, I had to run super fast, and at that time, I could not. I was the smaller one of the crowd. Later on in my elementary school years, as I excelled, I grew as well. And then, of course, as we can see, that changed just a little. Do you think so? I became the tall one in the family. 6'2" is what I am. So Nerf ball was our main game. We were always told, you know, if we wanted to go out in the backyard and play, go out and play. My grandma was the same way as my mother. It was a common thing. Go out and play. Why don't you guys go out and play with each other? Nighttime seemed like, especially my one sister, would have received, how can I word this properly? She was less favored in that household. I don't know why. Some people felt maybe that it was a little more challenging. I don't know. I don't want to get too much in other people's lives. I always felt for that. I always felt for my sister. I felt like they were making her an underdog situation, and I was just right up from that. And I didn't know what the real reasons behind it of it. I still do. I don't need to know, because I have forgiveness of everything, and I believe my sister does too. We love who we are now, and that's important. And remember, without going through all those trials and errors, we wouldn't be who we are. So with that being said, my sister, I seen us with my own eyes. We went through a lot of hard times. I used to tease her about different things. Her physical appearance, maybe, if you will, at the time. She was a little heavier than the rest of the family, and I made it hard on her. So she now is absolutely beautiful. She's connected with me on Facebook, and if you do enough research, you will find out who she is, and you will agree that she is absolutely adorable. Beautiful lady. But at the time, I used to harass her with that. But at the same token, I didn't really mean to hurt her feelings. But I guess hurt people hurt people. Remember that. Always remember that. We do. We hurt people. We'll hurt other people to try to lift up themselves. It's a wrong thing to do. I hope that I don't ever do that anymore to anybody else. Now, getting back there. So that was one thing. I know my sister, we both felt the same way in that household. With me, I remember that I always slept on the floor. I don't necessarily know why, but usually the other kids, the older kids, they all got the beds. They got upstairs, they got the private rooms. And most of the time that I was over there, if not all of the time, I was told to sleep on the floor. When I was told to sleep on the floor, when everybody's a baby, or when I was a child, everybody else is in bed. I know there's not enough beds in the house. You know there's not enough beds in the house for everyone. Let me tell you something. I had to sleep on the floor a lot when I was over there. And instantly, was she telling me, showing me that I was less than, or was I just thinking that I'm less than? I would say chances are I was younger so I could tolerate it, correctly? Is that correct? I was younger so I could tolerate these things. But let me tell you, as a child, you instantly feel like the underdog, not through words, but through somebody's actions of telling you to sleep on the floor. So, I remember there used to be a picture of Jesus on the wall in the living room where I used to sleep. And when the lights would go out, there would be the humming of the refrigerator, the freezer. There'd be a night light on. And let me tell you something, I would see a picture of Jesus, and let me tell you, it scared me. I had mixed feelings about that picture because I was told that this Jesus loved me. This image of Jesus loved me. But I wasn't feeling love. And I can't really explain to you in full definition as to why I wasn't feeling love. But I felt so different from everybody else. My personal feelings is that I was being judged and I was being treated less than for a lot of different reasons, and I'm not going to go too deep about that. But I know one thing. My grandmother used to sit in a rocking chair in that living room, and she would rock continuously when she was at home, and she would hum a lot, always humming. She was a peacemaker in our house with her music ability. She was a worship leader, played the organ, the accordion, and she hummed a lot. Do you hum? I don't hum. I try to sing. What do you think? In that house, if you weren't behaved, you would get a licking. A licking with a big wooden paddle. I received a few of those. So did my sister, so did everybody. Everybody received it. And let me tell you, it was scary when I was a kid. But as you all know, and we'll get to know, I love to be spanked. Spanked with love. Disciplined for acceleration of achieving all that I desire in life. I like to be naughty on purpose sometimes, just to receive a spanking. What about you? Do you like to be spanked? Do you not like to be spanked? Are you totally against it? It's okay. Speak up. Because back in the day, that is what they did to discipline their children. We got drummers over here, so I'm going to have to head off probably soon. Go to another location where it's a little quieter. I'm going to get myself a battery while I'm talking to you and keep things rolling. Oh, I'm trying to reflect back on a few things. I'm not doing too good. I think I've been talking a lot today. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to be right back. Sorry about that. We got to walk a different direction. There's a lot of drumming going on. I love music. But right now, I want to be able to think a little clearer and speak to you. Oh, kind of have a little bit of some of that. But my grandmother, I'm going to relate on to some of the great things that used to happen there. We get to unite with our cousins almost every weekend for many years. We would play games. She had a station wagon. We'd all ride in the station wagon. And like I was saying earlier, I think I told you already, she used to take us to a place called Woods Creek, who had amazing ice cream in this area. And we would always go there for ice cream, usually on a Saturday, or a Friday, depending when she would pick us up in the summer or what. And they had swing sets and a playground for us to play on. Another thing that she used to do is take us to the Dixie for pizza. I was sharing that earlier. And another place that I'm going to take you to, because I'm curious to know if it still exists, is church. It was a church called Mount Airy. And in that church, I'm going to share with you some pretty remarkable things and experiences that we had along the way to that building, as well as on the way back. Okay? But let's save that for another day. Hopefully I have time before I leave here. But my grandma and grandpa were very church oriented. And I would say that their beliefs were pretty firm. And rather than a lot of focusing on the grace of Jesus, the judgment came out of because of freedom that people were experiencing in their lifestyles that they were living. My mom was a very free spirit, and she stayed centered on her love for Jesus and Jesus' love for her. So, and she fought through it because she questioned, just like anybody else, she questioned, is what I'm doing right, wrong, or indifferent? Is there different things that I could have done, right? But I don't want to get too focused on other people's lives. I want to stay focused on my life. So I'm struggling with this because I don't feel that I meet up to their standard. Because one of the things that it mentions in the Bible is at that time is long hair. You know, and some of you may be saying, well, what do you mean about long hair? Well, remember, I was telling you that in that hospital I was declared to be a male. But it's very obvious if anybody meets me that you will realize that I'm not very masculine. I'm very femme. And that's my spirit. It's my spirit trying to express itself through this body that I was born into. And for many years, because of people's beliefs in this area, I was really convinced that I was less than everybody else, but it's not true. It's not true for you either. You're not less than anyone else. We are equal. We're just told sometimes that we're not, or we're treated less than, but it doesn't mean that we're not equal. We are, and we are worthy. We are worthy of love, acceptance, mercy, and compassion. Remember that. And I would have to be the first to say it's not because of Jesus. It's just because. Okay? Can we leave it at that? It's just because. Get that in your head. It's just because. And right there, I probably offended a lot of people. I don't want to force my beliefs on you unless you are struggling in life and you're like, what does she mean just because? I'm here to tell you just because. You were born onto this earth not to be suffering, not to be going through all this judgment. You were here to celebrate life, doing what it is that you're passionate about, whatever your passion is. You know, live and let live. Walk in love. You know, that's what I'm learning to do every day. It's a practice thing. We're going to get it right? Hopefully, we get it right. When we mess up, we'll pick ourselves up, start all over again. How's that? New day, a new start. So, she used to take us to church, and on the way to church, we would sing. And at that time, in that house, my mom and her brother, who was my uncle was a bass singer in a quartet. Quartets were really big back in the day. My grandfather also was in a quartet called the Centurions. Look it up. They might have some music out today. They were a gospel quartet, and originally my uncle was in the Minutemen. He had some albums out, and then he got involved in the Centurions. Later on in life, he got involved in the Kinsel Brothers. He was a bass singer. Let me tell you something. I really admired my uncle. He could sing bass, and he reminded me of the guy Sha-Na-Na from Bowser. Bowser was his name, right? From Sha-Na-Na. Yes, I loved Bowser. I love Sha-Na-Na. That was a big show that we watched at my grandparents'. Speaking of television, we used to watch the Dukes of Hazzards every Friday. Usually when we ended up going to my grandparents', that was one of the shows we watched that night. In later years, of course, during that time, Giant Robot was my superhero. I love Giant Robot. You ever see Giant Robot? For years, it really hurt me because in the last episode, from what I remember as a child, is he saved planet Earth by destroying himself, by going up to outer space and defeating a meteor or something like that was coming to Earth to destroy all the little children that were watching the television show. That's horrible. So check this out. We used to get together every Friday night and we would sit on the floor. We would watch shows like Love Boat, Fantasy Island, you know. And of course, every time I watched these shows, I wanted to be the girls. You know, I wanted to be the girls in the show, and I loved the men. I felt safe watching the men, you know. And as I was saying with the Dukes of Hazzard, I was Daisy Duke. Got a problem with that? Were you Daisy Duke? Which character would have you been? Uncle Jesse? Cooter? Do you want to be the tow truck driver? Do you want to be Boss Hog? Enos? Roscoe Pico Train? So anyway, watched a lot of television over there. The biggest thing with my grandfather was eating hard pretzels, you know, with the salt on it. And we had to be careful when we got into his ice cream bucket filled with pretzels because my grandfather didn't appreciate when us children would eat the whole bucket of pretzels without his permission, because when he would go in for them, then it was empty. He'd be very disappointed. It was very traditional for us to eat soft pretzels too. I liked mine with mustard. Do you like soft pretzels? Do you know what soft pretzels are? And one of our all-time favorites was Chef Boyardee ravioli. Ravioli. Do you remember what ravioli was? It's still out there. I've seen it. We sell it at all the grocery stores still. At least in Ohio and Pennsylvania. We still sell it. Chef Boyardee ravioli. We always had that in the closet, and up in the closet shelf, there was always lots of cans of ravioli because that was a household favorite for children. It was something quick for my grandma to heat up, so I was raised eating a lot of ravioli. And I would have to say, I don't recommend anybody living on ravioli. It's okay to add that into your diet every once in a while, but be careful how much of it you eat. So, ravioli, soft pretzels. Let's see, what else was an all-time favorite? And let me tell you something, because I am German, Pennsylvania Dutch, we ate a lot of mashed potatoes in our family. A lot of mashed potatoes. That was my favorite. And I love corn, was my vegetable of choice. At that time, I didn't like any other vegetable. It was corn. My grandma made a lot of sweet potatoes. I didn't care for stuff like that then. I do now. I do have appreciation for all food now. So these were some of the diets that we had. I had to fight through this because this is how I was born and raised. This is what we eat. Ice cream was always on hand. On both sides of the family, all family, we loved ice cream. I was raised on ice cream. Let's see, what else did we used to do? Trying to reflect back. But I remember when I was there, all the images of Jesus and the strong Christian values that were within that household. I felt that a lot of questions in life lingered starting there, is when I started questioning a lot of things. Because I started getting curious to know about this Jesus. Why are these people talking about this God that came in human form, sacrificed himself, and in the end has given us all freedom and grace, all of us, so they say in the Christian faith, but yet in the same token, we have all this pain and all this turmoil just amongst our own family, and judgment because people are getting divorces, judgment, because you have long hair, really? My hair's not as long as it was when I was a child. Remember, Cher inspired me to have long hair. Okay? We're still working on figuring out what Tracilyn is getting to through all of this. But wherever I would go at that time, I want to be straight up and honest with you. The world told me that I was born a boy. But I'm here to tell you much different. I am a femme spirit. I'm not a boy or a girl. I'm a very femme spirit. I prefer to be treated like a lady. Remember that. So if you see me out and about, if you treat me with respect and you treat me as a lady or just treat me like a human being, you're going to earn my love instantly. You already have it now. But back in the day, boys, you don't have long hair. If you have long hair, then you're a sinner, you're dirty, you're the devil's child. And that's the way I felt. And I always question, why does Jesus' image that we presented, at that time I really thought it was Jesus. I thought that image was Jesus. Why do we create this image of a gentleman with long hair, yet all the boys in the world who have long hair, it's a sin, it's evil. We're imitating our God in human form, and I don't want to get too deep with this, but let me just say that later on through life, when I hit 16, is the first time I really cut my hair, and I hated it. And I hated it. Did I say, and I hated it? I hated it. I didn't like the changes that happened to me when I was 16. I'm going to share that with you. Right now, while I was there, all these religious values, let me just say, there was a lot of wonderful things that I've been through in that household, but as well, there was an energy source, and I don't know where it was coming from, that made me feel less than. It made me think that maybe my mom was being made to feel less of, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was wrong at that time. You know, I'm 3 or 6 years old. How do I feel that? Even my friend, Johnny said, you know, and a guy that I talked to over here at the pizza place said, wow, at 3 and 6 you knew that, yes. And remember, on my birth, I also remembered the day I was born. Isn't that pretty wild? You know, and these are things I was afraid to talk about before, but I'm not afraid anymore. I don't care. You think I'm crazy? It's okay. I probably am. Just a little. Aren't we all crazy? Just a little? I'm upside down now, aren't I? Ain't I? Ain't I not? Ain't I not? I'm upside down now. And I'm looking at myself again instead of looking at the lens. I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at myself. Sorry about that. So here we go again. We're walking the streets of Jonestown, Pennsylvania. Look it up on the map. This is the town where I first grew up in, you know, after Ono, Pennsylvania. I'm trying to remember some of the things that happened there. I can't. I know there was swing sets back there, and we used to run around. The yard seemed bigger. I helped my grandpa cut the grass. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to jump ahead, you know, and just say that it was more like a silent judgment. It was not necessarily people pointing the finger and saying things. It was more like a silent judgment. I felt that, but I'm not saying, notice I always said I felt it. I'm not saying it was real. I'm not saying that it existed. For some reason, I felt that way. That's why I cried. That's why I want to go home to my mom. I never want to go there. I don't know why. I don't remember my grandpa ever being mean to me. I don't really remember my grandma ever being mean to me. It was like a silent judgment. I was always on the floor because I was the youngest one. That was the reasoning behind it. Do you think that was fair? What do you think about that? Do you think the youngest should be on the floor if there's not enough beds in the house? Or do you think that the youngest should be pampered? Notice, my mom pampered me. And it's not that I was her favorite, was I? Was I her favorite? Okay, maybe I was a little bit in a different way. But we were all her favorite, because she says, I live for my children. She never said I live for my child. I live for my children. So here, check this out. Do you believe it's right or wrong? These are some of the struggles I went through. What about the image of Jesus? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about seeing images of Jesus? Let it out. Are you a believer or non-believer? Are you a believer or a non-believer? I don't care what you are. Personally, I got to be honest with you. In my experience and walk through life, as you get to know, I would rather make friends with non-believers than believers. Because believers that I have met in my walk of life have made me feel pretty low. And I'll tell you what, not too many atheists have made me feel that way. Usually they treat me with more respect and love. What about you? Do atheists treat you? Do you feel that atheists treat you better or different or more respectful than a Christian? It's okay to let it out. It's okay to let it out, because wait till you hear my story. My story is pretty wild. My story, I have received a lifetime of judgment, and I let it get the better of me, and my life has been destroyed because of it. As I'm walking and sharing the story, I'm limited. Let me just say this. I'm barely getting by anymore. And it's a combination of everything, and I take the full responsibility. But let me just say that I received a lot of bad information throughout my life, and I wasn't smart enough at that time, in the last 40 years, to put it all together and find out that we are all living in an illusion of people's ideas of how life should be lived for us as an individual. And I was trying to meet other people's expectations, even to the fact that I have studied under the Christian faith my whole entire life. 40 years old, studied my entire life, and even I myself have brainwashed myself in questions as to whether or not I was less than, because I felt very strongly, even in something like this, I gotta have long hair. I want long hair. I'm attracted to men. I never shared that with anybody. I'm attracted to men. Did I say I'm attracted to men? Very powerful ones. And they always think I want their money. I don't know why. It's not, I don't want my own money. How's that? You want your own money? We all want our own money. I don't want their money. There's different reasons why I'm attracted to very powerful men. And maybe I'll never share that with you. Maybe that'll just be a mystery as to why. I'll let you figure it out. But if you want to think it's about the money, go ahead. I'll tell you right now, it's not. You believe what you want to believe. So as we go through life, my grandparents, and I get older, I want to be there less and less. Let's just say it was a silent judgment that I felt. I felt what's going on amongst the neighbors. Everyone, I go out and play. Were they really thinking less of me? Do you think so? Did you have this happen? Or maybe I was just insecure with who I was. Maybe I just didn't know who I was. Maybe because of that situation that happened to me, what back at the house, that I don't remember happened to me, but I know it ignited my imagination. Maybe since that day, I was confused as to who Tracilyn was. Maybe I was confused as to why I wasn't doing girly things when I was over at my grandparents' house. I had to do things with the boys, you know? And one of those boys was my cousin. My cousin lived in the trailer with my grandparents, or my great-grandma, right beside my grandparents. And let me tell you something, we have a history together, and I love you. If my cousin sees this, can I just say, I'm not going to use your name. I love you. I love you a lot. And there's a lot of times I really, really wish you were still in my life. Because you went through a lot of things that I went through, because we grew up under the same family and the same values that the society that we lived in at that time held. And I know that he has grown and flourished, and I know that my cousin was also very open-minded, and I don't want to get into other people's lives. It's not up to me to share their life story, but I always loved him. And he was a big fan of the Dukes of Hazzards, and we had, he had a wagon, and we used to push each other around in that wagon. And I can't remember if I pushed him more or what have you, but going down that hill, we shared a lot of time together. We had hard times together. There were times of taking each other's toys, maybe. You know, maybe. But in the end, I gotta say, through the years, I got to share a lot of time with him. He came back in my life at later years, and I love him. I don't get to see him anymore because I was spending time in Ohio, in Pennsylvania temporarily. But wherever you are, I love you. And there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't think of you. Or think of my family. Or think of, you know, where I was born and raised. But I gotta be honest with you, I wanna put this life behind me, okay? I'm here to seal the deal, to share my life story. Maybe there's something for me to learn, maybe there's something for you to learn, maybe there's something for me to laugh at, something for you to laugh at. Find a reason to insult me. I said some pretty powerful things just about Christianity, Jesus, long hair, boys shouldn't have long hair. People were wondering, what's this guy-girl thing? Let's get down to that. We want to know what's going on. But you got to hold up here a little bit. I'm not rushing anything. I have 40 more years, or 34 more years to share with you. And I'm already forgetting things because today was a long day. I really shared a lot of information, I'm telling you. And my grandparents, there was good and there was bad. But let me just make sure that you know it was a silent judgment that I felt. And can I tell you, will you get this in your head? Let me finish sharing my 40 years. Notice I said silent judgment. I'm not saying that anybody judged me. I'm just telling you some situations that happened there that affected me for many years. And I questioned, why was I sleeping on the floor when nobody else was? Sometimes my other cousins were. Sometimes. But me a lot of times. Most of the time. I always wanted to go home. Why did I always want to go home? I don't know why I always wanted to go home. I loved my mom. I didn't want to be separated. You know, again, I'm tired of being separated. Why does the world keep trying to separate us from the people we love? Okay, that's the way I looked at it. I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying it does. Okay, hold up there. Don't go nowhere. I'm not saying it does. Okay, I'm not saying that it does. I'm just saying it felt that way for me. I don't want to lose my mom. I love my mom. I still this day I love her. I don't want to lose her. I love you, Mom. If you see this, I love you. Okay? I don't want to be separated from the people that I love, but I realize that time moves on and so do we, and we have our own lives to live. You got your life to live. You might not have enough time to watch all this video. It might be a good thing, you know? Maybe it's good that you can turn it off right now before I really upset you. I don't know. I'm sorry if I do, but if I do, I'm not responsible for that because I'm just being me. That's it. So we had Silent Judgment there, and that's where it all began. We had the race cars. Now you know why I love race cars. We used to go to Linda Speedway all the time to watch them. I always looked forward to French fries with vinegar on them. My mom got me started on that. So there you go. I love French fries with vinegar on it to this day. Okay? Sometimes I'll get French fries and put a lot of salt on it. It's good for the throat, I always said. But I love vinegar. It's good for the blood. My other grandmother on my dad's side always said. I don't know. Is it true? Is it true? He said it also helps to clean out the urinal. Is that true? I don't know. Some of you may have seen my bathroom video. That's right. I am very open with my lifestyle, even in the bathroom nowadays. I want to share my whole life, not just some of it. So at my grandma's, and we used to get baths together and stuff, and I would always be with the boys, and I felt very uncomfortable with all the boys for a lot of different reasons. You know, nothing specific, because I loved them. It's not that I didn't love that people. I love them, and I always wanted to be doing girly things, and I knew that I couldn't. I could get away with it more at home with my mom, because my mom was my mom, and she was a girl, a lady, and I wanted to be a girl and be a lady, and I just never said anything. This was silent, too, for many years, okay? Many years, many years. And I know you might be confused or might pinpoint. I knew it. I knew there was something fishy about you, Tracilyn. That's okay. Let it out. I don't care. Insult me. Spread it around like a virus, would you? Do me a favor and humiliate me and spread this video. I do have a website at tracilyn.com. It should be mentioned down here below. I have really shared a lot of things. Notice that that whole neighborhood, I was just trying to tell you that it's a very tight community. I was not trying to insult it. I was trying to tell you it is a very tight community. What you do there, everyone knows. Everyone. Always knew. In my grandma's basement that I was telling you about, I used to play my guitar when I lived with my mom. And that I'm going to hold off to because I'm getting really tired. And I'm already starting to forget some things. And I'm starting to talk weird. So I don't want to waste any more of your time. I love you guys. Don't forget, please subscribe. Excuse me. Please subscribe to my YouTube page. This one. VCat Vlog. VCat Vlog. See, look at the sunlight. Illuminati. Illuminati, the all-seeing eye of Tracilyn, the tiger eye. So here we go. Check this out. I wrote a song called Illuminati. Check it out. This is the VCat Vlog. Here, I'd rather you not email me here, but you can. I don't check it that much, to be honest with you. You can go to tracilyn21@gmail.com or pick it up off of my website. As well, check out my music page. You'd be surprised what you see. Let me tell you that. Yes, me going to the bathroom, birds chirping all over the place, me singing songs in lingerie and skirts. Oh yes, I always wanted to be a naughty little schoolgirl, you know, that's my thing, I love that. And you will find out I have been an entertainer since the time I was born. It started in that household over there. Actually, it was beginning to start over at the trailer. Remember that? I told you my mom was the entertainer of the family, then I took over in house number 2. I want to be just like Elvis. The stage is right in our backyard. That was pretty cool. So, and now we went over to my grandma's where, notice, I didn't insult anybody. I'm not saying anybody did anything harsh to me. It was a silent judgment. But also, you will find out that my grandmother played one of the biggest roles in getting me to have the courage to stand in front of a church of people and sing when I was only 5. That's right, I was 5 years old, and inspired by my uncle who was a bass singer. and my mother, who was also a musician. I wanted to sing. I wanted to sing. And I didn't have the courage, but my grandma brought it out in me. Thank you, Grandma. She passed away, and I love her for this one reason: music. I felt a silent judgment, but still, there was something inside her. Remember, I told you she hummed all the time. Always hummed. Every night, you would walk through the kitchen late at night. You would hear her humming. No words, just humming. She played the piano, she played the organ, she was always doing music. I do that now. I sing a lot, I play my guitar a lot, I did throughout my life. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Remember, it was a silent judgment. Was it from within myself? I didn't want to be separated from my mother. Okay? So, understand, sometimes we do more damage than is really in existence around us. Maybe other people aren't judging us. Maybe we're just too busy shaming ourselves because something happened to us maybe a couple years ago. Me in that house. I don't know what happened. I'm not here to say anybody did anything to me. I don't know what I saw. I don't know what I experienced. I just know that my imagination was ignited. And over here at my grandma's house is when music started becoming a reality for me. Because I had somebody encouraging me to do what I love in life. And it was my grandma. Thank you, Grandma. And know that I have no understanding fully as to why I felt that I was being judged. There was strong Christian values, and let me just say that in that house I always felt fear. Where reverse on my dad's side with the grandparents, I felt the grace, the mercy, and the love, and the reasoning. Over here, I don't know why. I don't know why, okay? Can we leave it at that without upsetting anyone? I was a child, and to this day, I really don't know why. I can't pinpoint it. But I'm sure if you talk to some of the other family members, they would probably agree. It was just that there was such a strong presence of religion, how's that? A strong presence of religion. Somebody's idea of religion. And I don't know whose it was. Was it mine? You think I had a strong religious belief? I don't know. As a child, I don't know. I'm questioning Jesus. I want to get to know Jesus. Who is Jesus? I don't know. Is it the picture on the wall? Is it on the picture on the wall? We don't have the wall here. But who is this Jesus? And why is it okay for him to have long hair in that picture, but I can't? Cher can. Jesus can. But Tracilyn can't have long hair. Why? Who says? If it makes me so happy, why can't I have long hair? What about you? Do you have long hair now? Did you always want long hair? Did people make fun of you when you have long hair? Are you glad you got your hair cut? I don't know. Right now my hair is kind of short, it's medium length. You know, I got over all that. Some people thought that my hair was my strength. I believed it was. It was long and beautiful at one time, you know. Beautiful, beautiful hair. It's always shiny. I used to feather it in the 80s. We're talking about that a little bit. I really chewed up a lot of time talking about nothing today. Will you accept my apology? Will you accept my apology? Now, earlier today I was talking about a lot. When I got to the grandparents, I ended up meeting this guy in at the pizza place, and his exact words were, "A lot has changed around here. It's not like it used to be." But I told him, I said, I beg to differ. A lot of it changes gracefully. Yes, there has been a lot of changes in the community at large. There's a lot of shifting, a lot of positive shifting. See, what we call the old church has kind of fizzled out, and a new church has come in. And my hope is that you will understand how I also feel about that, because all it is people's ideas that are manifesting. They're getting larger and larger.